father absence in America in the black community?
Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1964.
Was he not American government? That's what I'm saying.
And let's do a president.
Look, what I'm saying is I don't really care. I don't care about Democrats and Republicans.
Who is still encouraging father absence?
Democrats and Republicans are the same. It's the same government. That's what y'all don't see. Like
I'm neither.
Political parties are literally to divide us because
No.
Democrats and Republicans are the same.
I think you and I agree on the fact that there are problems. What we disagree with is that I am telling you that the left started it, the Democrats started it, and the Democrats are still perpetuating it. And the way that they're able to perpetuate it is by getting you to stand up here and ask me a ridiculous question about the goddamn KKK when we should be talking about father absence and abortion and black on black crime. Thank you for your question.
So you're saying...
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
I hope you disagree.
Yes, somewhat. You have to excuse me if I'm a little nervous. I don't do this thing often.
Don't be nervous.
Yeah. So, this question specifically for Candace. About a year ago, I think you did a video for PragerU.
I did.
Yeah, it was entitled "Dear Celebrities," something along those lines. And
Dear celebrities, no one cares what you think.
Yeah. And you sort of had three main points from that. It was that, like you said, no one cares what celebrities think. You call out people like Beyonce and Lady Gaga and so on.
Yeah.
And then you said that people, further that people ought not to care what celebrities think, and that celebrities ought not to act as if we care about what they think.
Still agree.
Okay.
Loved Candace a year ago. She's great.
Yeah. Well, my problem with this is whenever Kanye came out with his tweets in support of President Trump and in support of you, there were you went on Fox News and you spoke very highly of Kanye, and you seemed to
love Kanye.
Yeah, you seemed to you approved of his message, and this seemed to start a sort of momentum wave from which the Blexit movement that you started has gone on. So it seems to me that you almost have two contradictory positions on this.
I don't. So I think we've got your question. Can I answer it?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't. Kanye West never once came out and told people what to think. He told people that he likes Donald Trump in the same way that I come out. Hold on. In the same way that I come out and I tell you what I like on this stage. He was not at a for Hillary concert saying, I'd like to introduce you to the next president of the United States, and if you disagree with me, you're a racist or a sexist. In fact, what the media won't show you is that when he was meeting with Donald Trump, he said, I love Hillary too. But that wasn't controversial enough. He said, I love Hillary too. It wasn't someone that I responded to. I like Trump. I like the red hat. I love Hillary. His wife loves Hillary. They live in a house where they have different ideas. Kanye was preaching a message of love and acceptance for everybody to bring us together. Celebrities preach a message of hate, and they tell you what we have to think. They say, if you disagree with me, you're a sexist. If you disagree with me, you're a racist. We must take down Donald Trump. That's entirely different rhetoric. I support black Americans that want to come out and say what they think and what they believe. What I don't support is the other thing where you tell us what we have to think, and if we don't bend to your will, we're somehow racist and don't belong in this country.
Okay. I see what you mean by that, but it still seems to me as if you pick out a single celebrity, because the idea in it is it's not that the celebrities are necessarily forcing you to believe in a certain way, because they do have celebrities that voice their opinion without the sort of threat of violence that you seem to superimpose behind this. But
I only attack celebrities who refer to Americans as racist, as sexist, and as bigots if we don't agree with them, period. There's no evidence of me saying that this person just supports someone and I attack them. For example, I'll give you an example. Justin Timberlake, I think he was pro-Hillary. I haven't heard a peep from Justin Timberlake since Trump won. You'll never see me go out and be like, Justin Timberlake, how dare you have said that you were pro. He's allowed to think what he wants to think. The problem is that when you turn around, you tell us what we must think accordingly. That's my only issue, and I've been consistent in that. You will find no tapes of me saying that celebrities don't have a right to think anything. They have a right to think whatever they want. They don't have a right to tell us what we have to think.
Yeah, that wasn't my point. But
Thank you for your question. Appreciate it.
I think I answered your question.
Let's get some disagree. If you disagree, feel free to come right behind the guy asking. Yeah, for sure. Come on. Hold on. Yeah, it's good.
Come on down.
If you disagree, come on. Go ahead.
I just want to say, great talk, guys. This question's for Charlie. When the Covington Catholic story first broke, you and other conservatives condemned the MAGA kids early on, and to your credit, you retracted the condemnation. But why do you think your first instinct was to join the anti-white pile-on these MAGA kids?
I made a mistake. I would disagree that I did it in the way you described it as an anti-white pile-on. I had misaligned trust in 5 headlines that I read and a 35-second snapshot that, for whatever reason, I was programmed to believe to be true. I did a whole op-ed as a mea culpa, and I think when people make mistakes, publicly they should say they made a mistake. And I said it once, I said it twice, said it 3 times, which is a lot more than any of the journalists have done recently when they've said Russia collusion for the last 2 years. So.
And I want to thank you for the, withdrawing the condemnation and everything, but I'm looking more for some insight on the general culture of conservatives and the willingness to sort of betray young conservatives at the first
Oh,
sight
come on,
of,
come on. That's so steep. He gets up every single day, travels 6 days a week, and he fights for conservative beliefs. He makes one mistake, and that's it. Let's put Charlie Kirk on the stake, and we're done with him, and he's betrayed conservatives. That's really, I think you got to give him a little bit of runway. We're not perfect human beings. I make mistakes, Charlie makes mistakes, and you have to be willing to forgive people. At least he has the audacity to stand up and say for the 4th time that he's sorry. People, that takes a tremendous amount. Just to say you are sorry and I made a mistake takes a lot. When someone says they're sorry, accept it. We can't be like this as conservatives. I'm really against this. I hear this all the time. Well, Candace, you were once liberal. Okay, I made 26 years of mistakes thinking that the whole world was racist. Is it okay? Can I come here? Can I apologize? Can I say that I was wrong? That I misjudged conservatives? That I misjudged Republicans? Learn to accept an apology is what I would say to you.
Candace. It's very nice of you, sir. Thank you.
All right, I'm speaking more to the general culture behind conservatives. The general culture behind conservatives. Not so much blaming you, Charlie, but in general, you, as well as many other conservatives,
Are human
jump
beings?
on immediately. Yes, but I feel like the issue was that it wasn't that bad even before we had the context. It was
I would say this, that I think we were talking about this downstairs. I think conservatives to some extent have a little bit of PTSD. If you've been called a racist and a bigot so many times over and over again, I think perhaps, I don't want to say what was going on in your head at that moment, but you might rush to judgment a little bit quicker to disassociate yourself from something, perhaps. And by the way, this is also a piece of just how the media operates. When you see, no matter how skeptical you are of the media, when you see 20 headlines in a row, all laying something out, New York Times, Washington Post, no matter, you may think they're all fake news, but when you see a whole slew of it, at some point, and this is just sadly the way Twitter works and our news works, you comment on something, and you may have jumped the gun there a little bit, but I think you've been pretty contrite here, so.
I can't wait to learn from you about how not to make mistakes so we can meet afterwards and you could teach me how to do that.
Thank you for your question.
All right, thanks.
Hello.
How you doing? All right.
Good, how are you?
So I just want to say, I agree with some of what y'all say. I don't think I'm on the left or the right. I'll be in the middle if it's possible.
Thank you for
Best
being here.
place to be. I love that
Great
you're
to
here.
be here.
All right. Well, at the same time, I think political parties were kind of given to us to divide the nation. And if you look into what George Washington and John Adams said, some founding fathers, they said the form of political parties would be the most evil thing our nation has seen, and it will be the downfall of our nation. And I agree with that because, I don't know, if you look at America right now, it's a big divide. I think it's mostly over politics. But I had a question for Candace.
Okay.
You said America wasn't a racist country.
I never said that. You can't find a single...
you said America isn't a racist country, right?
America is not a racist country. Yeah, I did say that. You're right.
All right. So,
Got me.
all right, I look at one example, inner city gangs, right? If you look at inner city gangs, they were really persecuted 100% by police departments and the government. What did America do to end the ideology or the practice of the KKK at all?
So let's dial this back to end the practice of the KKK. I want to start with saying to you, what percentage of black Americans, black homicides are committed by white people?
That's just me saying how much percent of homicides. It's you can ask that for any
No, I'm
race.
just asking a question. I'm not trying to walk you into a trap.
I don't really study statistics because statistics, you can look at any race and look at numbers of killings and murder. So.
Would it be fair if I said that black people are racist towards black people right now?
Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's a little racist.
Do you think that we're racist towards each other?
No, I wouldn't say racist.
I find it interesting. The hyper focusing on the KKK, which killed thousands of black Americans.
I'll say that America kind of conditioned, if you say black people are racist, that came from America's history. That's just what
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I say if you asked me if you think we're racist to each other.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but if we were. that's
Okay,
America's
because
history.
we're killing ourselves, just so you know. Like we're at a
I mean,
way
you can say every race-
faster.
you can say
I'm
every
just
race
saying,
is killing themselves.
at a way faster and higher rate than any person in terms of white supremacy could ever do it. And if another organization that's doing it faster, you want to talk about the KKK? They killed thousands of blacks. Planned Parenthood has killed millions, 19 million. Nobody's having a conversation about that. The black, and this is important because the media gets us obsessed with this idea of white supremacy and the history of the KKK. Thousands of blacks were killed by the KKK, and by the way, so were white Republicans, and we were killed by white Democrats, which is why I'm adamantly opposed to Democrats. But nobody wants to have a conversation about what's really killing black America.
But it's- But black males are probably the most people in prison, so you can't say nothing's being done about it.
Well, first and foremost, what are they locking us up for? Are they locking us up because we're black?
No, you just said we commit the most crimes. And
No, but I'm asking you a question. Are they locking us up because we're black?
I never said that. I never said that.
Oh, okay, so I'm just saying to you that the reason why we're locked up the most is because we're committing the most crimes. We have to fix our communities. It's a real conversation that black Americans need to have, and I try to do that with the Blexit movement when I target our communities to have these conversations. The idea that white supremacy is the thing that's stopping black America is a complete and utter myth.
Okay,
And until we're willing to have...
I never said that either. I just
Whoa.
asked.
She's not
I'm
saying you said that.
I'm not
She's
saying you
making
did.
a
I haven't
statement.
accused you of saying anything. I'm just saying what I'm actually saying. That's it, okay? The number one issue facing our community is father absence. Father absence, okay?
I disagree, but okay.
Excuse me?
I disagree, but okay.
Okay, well, you said you brought up the prisons, right? If you grow up without a father in the home, you're 20 times more likely to end up behind bars. You want to know who I got that from? President Barack Obama. He talked about the stats of what it does when you destroy the black family. The destruction of the black family, if you want to talk, oh wait, I'm not done. The destruction of the black family happened because of Democrats and what they did in the 1960s,
I agree.
LBJ and his Great Society Act and the welfare system. We can talk about all of those things. The very last thing we should be talking about, if I had to make a list of 100 things that's really screwing up the black community, white supremacy wouldn't make the list.
But I wasn't even asking about the black community. I was just saying, you said America wasn't a racist nation.
It's not.
It's not.
All right, so
Yeah.
look.
It's not today.
The Black Panthers were all locked up and killed by the government. That's
Are
fact.
the Black Panthers here
But
today?
I'm saying, the KKK has been around since how long, and what has the government done for anything to persecute?
You think the KKK is alive
KKK?
today?
Yes, of course.
Oh my
wait,
gosh,
okay,
what are you
hold on.
talking
Okay, well,
Find me
then
one.
wait.
I want to
Now-
meet
now
one.
we have a
You're saying the
debate.
KKK doesn't exist.
Now we have a
at
debate.
all.
Hey, wait. Now we have a debate. So I'm
Have you ever met one?
asking you, what are you
But
saying
you're
whoa
saying
about?
the KKK doesn't exist at all?
oh,
What happened?
I'm going to ask
What
you
did
a
the
question.
government do to erase them? What did the government do to erase the KKK? How can you say they don't exist?
You have to slow down. I can't understand what you're saying. What did you say?
That's crazy to me. But how can you say the KKK does not exist today?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. Where are they?
What do you mean, where are they?
Where do they meet?
They could be judges.
I just
they
thought
could
this
be-
is a really big
they could be
story and
teachers.
CNN should cover
It's
it. Where is the
It's literally an
KKK?
ideology.
No, can you name a
Anywhere.
leader?
No,
Can you name
where
a
is it?
gathering point?
Who's
Anything?
the leader? Where are they meeting? In what country? In
Don't
what
ask
city?
me where. I'm not going nowhere near where
Because
they
they
are.
aren't.
Because they don't. They literally live in the media's head. Have you ever seen a KKK member in a hood? I'm asking you a serious question.
So you're saying the KKK does not exist?
All right, come down. No, come down.
How do you say
I'm
it
dying to
doesn't
see
exist?
this because I have asked every journalist that brings this up since Charlottesville to tell me
how
where
can
the
you say it doesn't
KKK
exist?
meets.
So, in Houston, Texas, there was an event through
Georgia, there's KKK.
through a predominantly black neighborhood known as Acres Homes that was protected by the police, and they were escorted through a black community. So that's the issue. So they do exist. They are there.
And they're protected by the police. Protected.
Okay. So I'm asking you a serious question. As a Black American, you fear the
I'm with y'all.
KKK.
I don't fear any.
Okay. So you
That's
saw.
where I agree with y'all. I don't fear
Look, I am from one parish.
No. We're not doing 3-on-1. You can have a time. You can have a time when you get to the mic. I'm asking you a serious question. Of all of the things that is going on in the black community, you cannot look me in the face and tell me that you really think that the rise of the KKK is a real thing.
But
I won't believe that.
I'm looking at America, not really the black community.
And I'm
That's
shocked.
another
I'm shocked to
discussion.
hear. You said you've never seen a KKK member. You say that there was one in Texas. What year was it?
It was around 2008, just before.
2000 and what?
I graduated high school in 2008 in Acres Homes from Carver.
And they were walking down the street in hoods.
Yeah, that was an event there. It was a
Georgia, they
huge.
still have events.
Well, I
Forsyth
think we're
County.
losing.
Good.
KKK.
Yeah. Well, let's not lose the focus. Yeah, that's fine. I will definitely look it up. I will look up the Texas event, the KKK walk. But the point that I was making, maybe they did meet once, however, 10 years ago in your town, and I'll definitely look into it because I always want to educate myself. But the point is that neither of you can look me in the face and tell me that you think that the KKK is a real threat to the black community. It's just not
how
true.
when they could be a judge or a doctor or a, you know
No,
what I'm
but
saying?
the issue
Or
here is no
how-
one's denying
how is
that
it
there
not
are
fair?
individual
Racist in this country.
in a country.
I said America
A
is
judge,
not a racist country.
So
you know
how,
it's not.
How, if they're not a racist country, how have they done nothing to persecute KKK members? Like
What?
David Duke. David Duke is a known KKK.
Yes,
the
David
leader.
Duke endorsed a Democrat running for president this
Okay,
cycle. I
don't
just
care
have
what
to
he
say
endorsed.
that.
Why is he not in prison?
What did you say? I
David,
didn't hear
David
him.
Duke
Can you
is
put
so.
the mic closer to him?
I do have to
genuinely
say though,
can't hear him.
it's so marginalized. It's so minimal. The overemphasis, over conversation,
weird that we
over
even talk
focus.
about it.
These
I mean, it
people are
honestly is
losers.
weird.
These people have no life. These people are not in mainstream society. These people are not what people
And
try
I
to
hate
make
that.
it
I hate,
seem.
and this is why I say when you heard me say earlier that I hate when us, we are the most privileged black people in the entire world, right? We are, plain and simple. The most privileged black people in the entire world live in America today. It's insulting to me because when my grandfather used to tell me the stories about the real KKK, the ones that would come on horseback and shoot into his home in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and do you want to know what my grandfather says about them? He says, and when they used to come around, my dad used to shoot back at them boys. Such an empowering thing when he talks about them. He talks about them like they were children. He tells me stories about when the black mothers would come out and take the hoods off and yell at them and say, is that you, Peter, or whatever their names were? And then when you come up and you say it like, what are we going to do about the KKK members? You're not afraid of them. I know you're not afraid of the KKK members.
I'm not afraid of them.
You're not. You're not. So why are we talking about them? Why are you even giving them the air or the
America allowed
conversation
them-
because you once saw them 10 years ago
All America did was
walking down the
change
street?
laws, and all they did was have to change their methods. They could have just changed
But
their
what
methods.
did they do? Did they shoot and kill? I generally am trying to understand, where are the KKK? Are they killing black people? Because if they are, they definitely should be prosecuted.
Laws against murder.
I think that the issue, the thing he's trying to bring forward is that when you look at the historical treatment of organizations or groups of people of color, whether it's Black Lives Movements or Black Panther and so on, the moment that they were demonized, they were listed as terrorist organizations. Why has it never been that the Ku Klux Klan was demonized or listed as a terrorist organization?
They were never demonized? The KKK?
No.
By the government? Never.
Has the government
Because they
ever
were
listed
the
them?
government. They were Democrats.
Well, yeah, this is not true.
I don't-
the
like,
Oklahoma City bombing was,
No,
the
I'm
Oklahoma City
neither.
bombing was categorized as a terrorist act, so you're incorrect there.
So,
The
Oklahoma
Fort Hood
City
massacre was
I
terrorist.
was a combat engineer. I was trained by some of the same people who knew the guy. So I understand.
So let me ask you a
saying-
question. Was the Waco complex considered a terrorist organization by the FBI, yes or no?
Who?
The Branch Davidians.
It should be.
Oh, but they were white. You said that never happened against white supremacist organizations.
No, I said the Ku Klux Klan.
No,
I'm
but
talking about the Klan in
it is a
particular.
similar type organization. The Branch
The
Davidians,
Klan
the Branch
only.
Davidians
Klan has
were a
existed for
misinterpretation
almost
of...
the entirety of America.
The
Why
Branch
has
Davidians
it
were a
never
white
been
supremacist
seen
organization.
as a terrorist organization?
Guys, I'm going to wrap this up because if I genuinely thought that you thought the KKK was alive and well, we'd have a full, long conversation about this. What we're talking about here is that you want to ignore, and this is what genuinely frustrates me so much about the black community, you want to ignore all the really big issues that we should be talking about, okay? We all know what's going on in our communities. We just had another rapper that was gunned down. We know about black-on-black crime. We know about abortion. We know about the education system. We know about Antifa, which is the closest thing that I've seen to white supremacy since I've been alive, is Antifa, which is the modern-day KKK.
So I
dressed
agree
up in
with you on
black
all
hoods
of those.
that show up,
I agree.
okay? And
I
the
agree.
media that
Those are the biggest
demonizes.
issues.
But instead you want to talk about something that you have to pull your memory from 10 years ago
Can I
when
ask
they
you
were
something?
walking down the street in Texas.
What do you think started black-on-black crime? It hasn't always been a big problem as what you're talking about. What do you think
I
started?
already told you what I thought.
What do you think started?
Father absence started black-on-black crime.
And what
I already told you
what
that.
started the biggest father absence in America in the black community?
Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1964.
Was he not
Democrats.
American government? That's what I'm saying.
And let's do a president.
Look,
And
what
let's
I'm
do a
saying is
president.
I don't
Who
really
do
care.
think
I
is
don't
still
care about
encouraging?
Democrats
Who
and
is still
Republicans.
encouraging father absence?
Democrats and
Democrats.
Republicans are the same. It's the same government. That's what y'all don't see.
I'm neither. Like,
Political parties are literally to divide us because
No.
Democrats and Republicans are the same.
I
it's the
think
same
you and
government.
I agree on the fact that there are problems. What we disagree with is that I am telling you that the left started it, the Democrats started it, and the Democrats are still perpetuating it. And the way that they're able to perpetuate it is by getting you to sit up here and ask me a ridiculous question about the goddamn KKK when we should be talking about father absence and abortion and black-on-black crime. Thank you for your
So
question.
you're saying Democrats started.
We got to move on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question, but if I could say one thing real quick. Charlie, you mentioned the Branch Davidians were white supremacists.
So they were classified by certain people as a misinterpretation of Christian theology for being white supremacists, but they were categorized mostly as a terrorist organization by what they were
I
doing
think
in
you're
Waco.
mixing that with Ruby Ridge.
I'm sorry, what?
You're mixing it with Ruby Ridge, which is the same period.
I'm sorry, you have to talk slower.
You're mixing it up with Ruby Ridge, which was the same
I
period.
could be...
Because the Branch Davidians were like Filipino and white. And
I'm talking about the individuals in Waco, Texas, where the FBI categorized them as a terrorist organization.
My question's not about that, so I guess.
Okay, fine.
But that's not.
We can amend that later on.
Yeah. Charlie, you have come out pretty strong on the side of, Israel and Trump and his recognition of the Golan Heights.
Yes.
This was a week after a company called Genie Energy was granted exclusive mineral rights to the Golan Heights. On their board are Charles Kushner, Dick Cheney, Mary Landrieu, Jacob Rothschild, Larry Summers, and Rupert Murdoch, both left and right names. They both stand to make billions of dollars off that recognition. How much of the U.S.'s policy of bipartisan Zionism is simply political corruption?
Can I ask you a question?
Shoot.
When did Israel take back the Golan Heights? Do you know the history of it?
It was never theirs. They didn't take it back. They invaded it.
I'm sorry, what?
Take back? They invaded it.
Okay, so there's you do know that there are synagogues dating back to 2,800 years ago in Golan Heights, which would by definition be a Jewish religious convening place, right?
There's a mosque in Jerusalem. That's irrelevant.
Well,
It was built on top of a temple.
Yeah, it was built on top of the holy side of the temple that King David built. But that's.
Oh, sorry, I'm just
but I do have a question. You do realize that Islam was formed in year 600, more or less, and Judaism is 3,000 years old, and Israel is critical to the Jewish faith? That you agree with that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. So the Golan Heights, you have 2,800-year-old synagogues, and that would be reclamation of the land. But anyway, the history of it says I'll update you on it.
Wait, so anywhere there's a synagogue is Jewish land? You're 100% on that?
Well, no,
anywhere
no.
there's a synagogue,
It's
ever
the
in history.
restoration of Judea and Samaria, which is very, very, very well outlined in the Torah. Let me build it out.
Wait, no,
for you.
the Torah.
Judea and
right?
Samaria. Yeah, the Torah. That's the book the Jews study and
but
revere as their holy
they
book.
hate Samaritans, I thought.
I'm sorry,
like,
what?
they really hate Samaritans.
So yeah,
I don't think
Judea-
they should get, like, the Jews who live there.
Judea and Samaria. So if I can build it out for you if you'd like. So in Golan Heights, northeast Israel, it was right after the Six-Day War when 6 different Arab countries decided to invade Israel on their most holy day, on the day of Yom Kippur at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, and a coalition of other Arab countries together decided to hit Israel when they were most vulnerable. And so what did Israel do? They pushed back for geopolitical reasons past Capernaum, past the Sea of Galilee, into what is now called the Golan Heights, where it has always been Jewish land. That has been Jewish land for 2,800 years. This idea of British colonial Syria, that's a made-up country. That is Jewish land, and it always has been. And the idea of Israel is that, first and foremost, there are 41 Muslim-majority countries in the world. Why can't the Jews have one? Why can't the Jews have a single country that they can call home? 2, Jerusalem and Israel mentioned over 450 times in the Holy Book of the Torah. 450 times. In Jewish history, Israel is more than just a place. It is critical to their religion. It is critical to their practice. And arguably, it is the most impactful tradition that has built Western civilization. If you look at the great thinkers of the Enlightenment, many of them drew inspiration from the Torah. So yes, the reclamation of the Golan Heights, no, it was not for some mineral deal that you're haphazardly putting it back. It is the reclamation of rightfully earned Jewish land that was stolen from them by the Syrians many, many years ago.
How many of your... So you're a pretty big Zionist, right?
I'm sorry?
You're a pretty big Zionist, you would consider yourself?
I am a proud Zionist and a
Yes.
Christian and a capitalist and a conservative. We can go on endlessly.
Absolutely, of course. But, like, so you also consider you're American nationalist, right? American guy.
Yeah, I'm a proud
these
American
terms?
patriot, yes.
So, like, if there are, in LSU, there are Native American burial mounds that are 5,000 years old. Is this Native American territory? Have we violated? I mean, they probably had books. They probably named their mounds a million times. Should we leave right now? Because, I mean, it's their land.
Well, you should be asking yourself that question.
I don't live here. I came here to ask you this.
I think you're
I
asking
don't live here. I came here to ask you this.
What? Well, but that question is for yourself. You're posing the question. What are you doing here?
I know. I came here to ask you questions. What I'm doing.
So you plan on leaving the country?
I plan on leaving. Yes.
Look, was the you do plan on leaving?
I mean, at some point, yeah.
What country are you moving to?
Probably France.
You think do you think France is a better country than America?
I'm going on vacation. I'm not like living there. Christ.
Oh, okay. Do you think there's ever been a better country than America to exist?
Like cosmically, yeah, maybe. But like, how do you objectively evaluate countries?
How about generosity, benevolence, productivity, entrepreneurial capacity.
I mean, yeah, Luxembourg's got a higher median income. Sweden, Britain, higher median income. That's a pretty good measurement that we're behind in. So
Okay.
yeah, there are better countries than us.
Okay, so you would say that the European...
Have you ever been to Sweden?
France is
I was
it's-
just in Sweden, and there is an absolutely crippling amount of political correctness where people are absolutely afraid to say anything. I mean, say absolutely anything.
Yeah, that's an objective measure, right? If we're going by the measure of median income, though, it's better because there's no like.
I mean, I could go
cosmically better
endlessly.
country.
I could go endlessly on why America is the greatest country ever to exist, but here's the funny thing. I bet you won't leave. Because America is the only country in the world that even those who say they hate it refuse to leave.
I don't hate this country. I've never said I hate this country, ever. When did I say that? When?
Well, so you love America?
Yeah.
And you want to move to France?
Why not? Yeah, it's a cool country. Like,
Which question? Him endlessly rambling is not a question.
what? You said I hate America, asshole. I didn't say that.
Okay.
Wait.
All right. Well.
Do you believe that?
I think
What?
when we start.
Do you believe that?
Do I believe that I don't hate America? I don't hate America.
Okay. Good luck in France. Au revoir, mon ami. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, it's all good. Hold up. Oh, my voice is horrible.
Hey.
All right. Hello. Quick thing. I don't want it to be the focus of anything, but I grew up without a father, just me and my grandmother. I'm sorry, me, my grandmother, and my mom. And you know, as someone that ended up okay, definitely not a criminal, definitely not thinking about doing any crime stuff. I always never liked the whole missing father thing. I think you can get by just fine if you have a really strong mother raising you, and I think a lot of people have those. I mean,
No, you can. You can. I don't disagree with you. You can, but we need to stop normalizing that and making it seem like it's something that we should need to stop fantasizing it. It's really hard. And if your mom did it, she did a tremendous job, and you should be grateful for that. But please don't make it seem like that's a norm and that's easy.
Got you. All right, cool. All right, so for my boy Charlie Kirk, thank you for answering my question out there. I appreciate it. All right, so now I love capitalism. I love the potential for free market. I love America, and I think it's a great place to live. Capitalism made it so, but when people's lives are involved, the cracks begin to show. Socialism won't work, we know that. But I want to see your solution for our healthcare crisis. The prices are coming up, and we need to bring them down. I want to see how you solve the healthcare costs and make this country great, like you say, while also not having normal people like me without the right to health.
First off, I love this question because we have tons of issues with the healthcare industry.
All right.
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to start because I'm up in a rant because you're absolutely right. It's ridiculous. It's way too expensive, and it's because there's a quid pro quo that exists between the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors, and you can't see what anything costs at all. And you go in to, I don't know, have a doctor check a cough in a hospital, and you get a bill for $4,000. I've been like literally debating a bill for the last 6 months that I refuse to pay. I don't care if I have to go into debt. I am not paying this bill. So I just wanted to lay the groundwork. Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, so here's the thing is we have a ton of things broken with our American healthcare system, but let's start with the less attributed, less talked about. We accumulate the most medical advancements, the most drug breakthroughs, the most cancer-killing medicine. Open heart surgery was an American invention that's now spread across the world. So we actually have the highest, the best quality. If you can afford it, we have the best healthcare. So the question is, that's a great admittance, and even objective. People say, wow, if you can afford it, if you're a millionaire, if you're a billionaire, you can get unbelievable treatment. Okay, a natural question is, how do we get more people to access something that only a few people have? Well, that's where the market is amazing at that. And the market works great when you have a finite amount of things. Competition and entrepreneurs and transparency, those are the three things that are needed. So transparency would be one thing I could probably agree with Democrats on, that it's just so screwed up that you can walk into a hospital, you can walk into an emergency room, and no one knows what anything costs.
I agree with that.
You know, consumers deserve to know what things cost. In fact, I think eventually the market will demand it. But we use this example a lot, and I'll use it again just for the sake of people that have not heard it, which is 5 or 6 years ago, actually 8 years ago, there was a decision by insurance companies not to cover LASIK eye surgery, okay? LASIK eye surgery is very, very precise. You're dealing with a vital organ that all of us use all the time. And so it's obviously something that should not be messed around with. Well, insurance companies said they weren't going to cover it. It became a cash-only business. So it used to cost anywhere between $20,000 to $25,000 per procedure to get that done. Now you can get it as low as $3,000 to $5,000. almost 80% cost decrease, and the surgery is actually better than ever before. So how did that happen? Well, it's because people knew what things cost and they knew what they were getting out of it. And so first and foremost, everyone should be able to buy health insurance across state lines. It is so important. You can buy auto insurance across state lines. You can buy house insurance across state lines. That creates a market.
Yeah.
Secondly, we need more doctors. We regulate how many doctors we allow through this crony relationship with the American Medical Association. Third, you should not always need a doctor present when you get a procedure. A large portion of medical treatment actually could be done by a nurse practitioner. Flus, colds, broken arms, broken legs. Why do you need a doctor to sign off on that? Walk-in clinics at Walgreens are a great market indicator of how things eventually will be. So look, markets have solved so many problems in our society that we take for granted. It'll be no different than healthcare, but right now we don't have anything but a market, and they want to take us in the exact opposite direction. Dave, do you want to comment on that?
I'm with you.
Great.
No, and I'll just add, don't allow the healthcare industry to be an argument against free markets and capitalism, because our healthcare industry is not an example of free markets and capitalism. That's actually the problem with our healthcare industry. We're not making any decisions as a consumer. We don't know what the prices are. It's more of an example of crony capitalism, if anything else, not something that we're adamantly opposed to.
And I just have one more thing. And yeah, one of your chapter people told me about that LASIK eye surgery. I think it was your president. She's a cool person.
Very good. She's very cool. I agree.
I posed this question as well. So it's about socialized medicine. Why can't we compete with the government? If somehow things turn out and socialized medicine comes in and everyone's paying hella taxes to take care of everyone. Sorry, I have a bad vocabulary, but if everyone's paying taxes yeah, that's what it is. If everyone's paying taxes to, take care of everyone, can the private, medical stuff, if we get there, can't we just compete with the government and still have that lower socialized option at the same time?
Well, first off, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Democratic platform 2020, the tagline is hella taxes. So that's one thing.
I like that.
But yes, you're right, except that already the Democratic candidates right now, Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and a bunch of them, are already saying they will eliminate private enterprise. So I think you're right. Your premise is right. Could we have something that, could the federal government be involved at some level and then let the private marketplace, let some competition get in there? I think most everyone in this room would agree, even people that don't like big federal government programs. But the Democrats are already saying, no. Once we pass this thing, there will be no competition, and that's what the problem is.
We have an example. The Veterans Administration is a mess. It is such low-quality care. This is so important because we have a first-hand example of socialized medicine in our own country. It's essentially our national health service where our heroes and our veterans walk into a VA and they are sometimes not treated and they don't get calls back. We spend $150 billion a year on the Veterans Administration, and most of that money, if you actually go and audit it, most of that money goes towards administration, not actual application of the medical treatment itself.
Oh, joy.
And so look, we also have Medicaid in our country where tens of millions of people are on, which is healthcare for the poor, which is not exactly luxurious healthcare.
I just got dumped from that. Yeah, like last Friday, I lost Medicaid, so wild. Yeah.
So it's broken, right? And that was an attempted program for universal healthcare. What are we really talking about here? You need market-based healthcare. You need healthcare to work with the same market engine that we enjoy all the same prosperity that we have every single day. So great question. We really appreciate that. Thank you. That's why you're here, right?
Hi, we're just two high school students. We're not really here for the debate. We just want to know your opinion. So
it can be argued that even though you guys contribute the success of this nation to capitalism and the Constitution, etc., a lot of people can argue that it can be mostly attributed to the labor of the minorities that we've
Nobody can make that argument. No one can make that argument successfully and win.
Okay, so but what is your opinion on that?
I mean, fine, make the argument. How many slaves were there in the South? Are you saying the minorities like slavery? Do you think this country was built on slavery?
At least partially, yes.
Okay, how many slaves were there in the South?
I don't know that exact number.
That's the problem, is that you don't know that. This country was not built by slaves. It's a ridiculous argument to make. I understand you're in high school, and I guess that's kind of where you soften this, so I'm not going to go too hard here, but you kind of backed me against the corner here by saying you're in high school. You can't, if you're saying that you don't know the answer to that of how many people in the South actually own slaves, then you shouldn't make the argument that this country was built by slaves.
But I don't think that it's an argument of how many people owned slaves, because we do know that the majority of people in the South did not own slaves. However, there's still...
That's the argument.
Okay.
The majority of people in the South didn't own slaves. The upper elite echelon of the South owned slaves.
Well, and
85% of the people in the South didn't have slaves.
So here's a great argument. It's okay, and thank you for being here, by the way. It takes a lot of courage to get up, so thank you, first of all. If that argument were to be correct, then let's juxtapose other countries that had slavery even longer than America did.
They still have them in Africa. How's Africa doing as a continent? We can go in any country. They've always had slaves in Africa. And they still have a slave trade in Africa, and all the countries that have it aren't doing great. So if slavery contributes to a productive society, then how come all the societies that have slaves aren't doing amazingly?
Not only is slavery one of the greatest evils in human history, but it actually doesn't make a country richer. It's actually really interesting. So the idea that slavery would actually increase the amount of wealth in society, you actually look at growth rates, things stayed relatively the same in the American South under slavery as far as economic progress or lack thereof. But when you liberate individuals, which is of course based in a market economy, that's where you start to see the wealth creating engine start to accelerate.
Innovation.
Because what's inherent in slavery? You have to control a lot of people a lot of time. So your focus is on controlling and just repetitive labor. It's not on creativity, it's not on taking risks, it's not on empowerment.
The cotton gin was a better option than having slaves pick cotton. So innovation is what drove the society forward. If you really want to talk about it, you're talking about the people like Vanderbilt. Andrew Carnegie. These are the people, the men that built America. J.P. Morgan. It's one of the most, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it's not the right argument to make that this country was built by slaves.
But also, nobody's making the argument that America has not done things wrong. But that's why I posed the question to you guys about your grandparents, and I would pose it to you guys as well. I mean, if you really just think about your grandparents for a second, because think about it, we've done things wrong in America. We had slavery, we had Japanese internment camps, women couldn't vote, gay people could get married. I mean, we could go on and on of the litany of things that have been wrong throughout time, and guess what? They've consistently been corrected. We've consistently bent. We've consistently bent. Thank you, Charlie. He's my sidekick now. But that really is what it is. That nobody's saying that things have not been bad. No one's saying things have not been perfect. The founders, who you said earlier, the Constitution is the greatest political document of all time. I absolutely agree. Guess what? Many of the founders owned slaves. We have to be able to really understand that they were men of their time, and that nobody's perfect, and that time changes things. So the arc here has bent towards equality and goodness, and I think that's what we have to focus on. Not that there weren't moments throughout time where we did things wrong.
And judge a society on how it identifies problems and fixes them.
Yeah.
And so you use another example right now, the country of Brunei, or the country of Saudi Arabia. So if Dave went to Saudi Arabia right now, he'd be killed. No, I'm not exaggerating. This is not a joke. He lands in Riyadh, they would kill him because he's gay. And so their inability to improve over time is not excellence, it's not greatness. Our ability as a country to say, whoa, we're not doing something right here. We have a moral compass that's being violated. How do we fix it? That's a really amazing mark. That corrective mechanism is something that is really beautiful and really exceptional.
Well, I would also say that even if your original premise was correct and America was born out of some sort of evil thing, let's just pretend for a moment that that was correct. The proof is in the pudding now. We have bent towards goodness. So in a weird way, it does not matter, even if the premise that you were offering originally was correct.
Okay. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Oh, sorry. Hey, I just wanted to thank you guys for coming tonight. I appreciate everything you guys have to say. I have a very simple question. I just wanted to know how all three of you wanted to help people in general, just not only conservatives, but liberals as well.
I love this question. This is so great. I think personally, I hope that I can just liberate minds. I mean, I think that that's my job, is just just by existing, by letting people know that a black woman can have conservative principles. It liberates minds on both sides of the aisle. And I hope that, thank you. And ultimately, the goal is to get people to move towards a more productive conversation to actually fix the issues that we do have. Because the issues that we have in America, as I said before, are not racism, it's not sexism, it's not misogyny. I think we have entire groups of minorities that are suffering from a tremendous sense of low self-confidence. And not realizing that they can have a piece of the American dream if they start to believe in themselves. What I'm selling every single day is self-confidence.
Thank you.
Well, first off, I love the question, and this is why on my show I try to focus on ideas more than specific policies, because I want people to understand the broad sense of how we go about doing things.
I'm a fan of your show. I gotta admit, it's great work.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I would say I want to defend the very principles that have led me here to this very moment where I can speak my mind openly and freely in front of some people that I agree with and some people that I disagree with. In my family, we lost members of my family on both sides due to the Holocaust. I'm gay. I understand what it is like to be the other. And I want to make sure that everyone, regardless of your skin color or religion or sexuality or gender or any of it, can live free. And you know what will allow people to live free? It's the things that we've been talking about here. It's limited government, it's the right to control your own destiny, it's individual laws that govern you as an individual and not as a collective. And those are the things we have to fight for. And not only do we have to fight them, but you guys are growing up in a particularly unique time. I'm not that much older than you, but when I was in college, nobody was really thinking about this. I was smoking a lot of pot and playing Sega Genesis, okay? Yeah, so I guess I am that much older than you. And I'll get these guys on weed eventually. It just takes time. But the point is, let's take the libertarian approach, Charlie.
You have the freedom to.
We'll get you there.
You have the freedom to make a mistake.
We'll get you to conservatism.
So, but the point is that you guys are living in a truly unique time where it feels like the entire chessboard has been tossed upside down. And the leaders, the people that your parents, grandparents, it seems like everybody isn't sure how to chart a course forward. So it's on you guys in a particularly unique way. That sounds like a lot of pressure, but that's sort of the beauty of the adventure of life. So whatever you want to do in this world, you can do it. You can do it, and it's going to take hard work, and maybe somebody will have more advantages than you going, right at the beginning, but if you bust your ass and you're good and you're talented and you're honest and forthright, whatever the hell it is that you want to do, you can do it, and that's what I want to defend.
So, the way I think we can help people, and this is so important, and this is programmed into our consciousness, and it's programmed into the new term on the left. They call themselves progressive. There's a lot of talk about liberation, and I agree with Candace 100%. We need to have minds liberated. We need to have people thinking differently and more freely. But we also need to preserve and conserve some things. Maybe some things shouldn't be changed. Maybe you should go back to the way some things were at times, like having two-parent households, when people used to go to church, when the Bible was read in school, when people prayed, when people didn't always look to government for the answer, when people courageously stepped up and went to World War II. Maybe things don't always need to change for the sake of changing them, because it seems as if we're programmed that think all change is good change. And don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled that gay marriage is now the law of the land. I think that was a good change. I think there are changes that could be appreciated. But I had this conversation with a leftist the other day, and they said, well, Charlie, you seem kind of anti-change at times. I said, yeah, some change is not good. And they said, like what? I said, like laws against pedophilia. So that's probably something we shouldn't change. Would you agree? Maybe that you could do heroin out in public. I think that's something that we shouldn't change. Or that you could publicly defecate without consequences in San Francisco. Yeah. You think I'm kidding? Or that you just shouldn't have borders and anyone can come in at any time. And so my focus is on preservation, because I think that there's been a gift given to us, and if we just get into this mind trap that progressivism is always a good thing, then we will lose some things that sometimes just should not be changed, because they are timeless and they are bedrock institutions that we should always hold dear to our heart. And so you have the necessary liberation that Candace will lead, and God willing, hopefully the necessary preservation that I also want to lead. And you intertwine those together, you have something that could really be successful. Thank you.
All right.
I have
one
one.
One
more thing to ask. Okay, yeah. So if you could give a piece of advice to anybody in this, every human being in this room, how to help the next American, what would that be?
Help yourself.
was going to say lead,
Help
lead
yourself.
by example.
That's it. Yeah, that's Jordan Peterson. Clean your room. You know, that really is it.
Thank you.
Well, and to expound on that is, you know, treat your neighbor how you want to be treated. How do you want to be treated? That's the thing. You don't just want to have stuff given to you. Sometimes you want discipline and responsibility. Candace, closing thoughts?
No, I was just going to say lead by example. I try to do it every single day. Don't back down. Be brave. You know, the greatest gift that I ever had in my entire life is my grandfather. He led by example. He was a man of very little words, but I watched him and I observed, and that was enough. He took care of business. He led the household. He was a strong example, and I think that's the best thing that you can be, is just a strong example and make good decisions in your personal life, and the people around you will respond. You guys, it has been an absolute blessing to be here tonight. I hope that we've maybe changed some minds, and if we haven't, then thank you for the people that sat through this entire thing and maybe know a little bit more about what we're about. Shout out to the person that showed up on the stage today because she couldn't, I'm not going to misgender, couldn't have given a better example why we fight every single day to do what we do. America is the greatest country in the world. Having the ability to do this on this stage is a blessing. And Charlie, thank you for allowing us all to be the ordinary pieces of your extraordinary movement towards freedom.
Wow. That's very kind, Candace. Thank you. Dave?
Yeah, very quickly, I would say this is what it's all about, guys. You know, there were some protesters out there that I might have some political agreements with, and guess what? They would not have sat here and listened to me. And yet, you guys did. And that is an not only is it an incredibly beautiful thing, it's an increasingly rare thing these days. And we got a lot of voices that want to rip us apart. But the more we can do this, the more you can sit there and think through ideas and figure out what's right for you. And with that last question there, it's your life. It's your life. What life do you want? Do you want a life that you own, that you can do what you think is right, that you can keep what you earn and things like that? Or do you want everything handed to you? And do you want everything doled out from central planning? I suspect it's the former, not the latter. And keep fighting for it, because it doesn't just exist out of nothing. It exists because people before us have fought for it, and we got to keep fighting for it too.
Well, I just want to thank everyone again. This has been an amazing event. Our Turning Point USA chapter, you guys worked so hard for this. This is why we do what we do. And for those of you that hadn't had enough, come 5 hours north tomorrow night to Oxford, Mississippi to come see us live again. But please apply for our conferences. Please get involved with our Turning Point USA chapter. We're really a growing movement that's very fast, and this is what it's all about. You don't have to agree on everything. Candace and I don't even agree on everything. This is the one piece of advice to have all of you. For conservatives out there, talk to liberals. Liberals, talk to conservatives. The more talking, the better, because if you look at what people want to do, they want to divide us. When you stop talking, you get more divided, and we try to do something to try to heal the country together today. So thank you guys so much. God bless America. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.